Hey everybody, Ryan here at eTrailer. Today on our 2008 Ford F-150, we're going to be taking a look at and showing you how to install the buyer's product backup camera system. So when it comes to these camera systems, a lot of us have been kind of spoiled in recent years. A lot of the late model cars, come with them already factory equipped. And so, you're kind of just used to hopping in and having a camera system there for you to use. And on vehicles that are a little bit older, a lot of them didn't have that option, including this particular truck. And so, having a camera system is really going to come in handy. I'm sure a lot of people have probably used them before, whether they're factory or aftermarket like this, and know they can really be beneficial, especially with a vehicle like this one here. This is a work truck, hooks up to a lot of trailers, and it makes it so much easier when you have your backup camera and you're backing up to a trailer. You can actually see what's going on, eliminate some of that guesswork, and not to mention you can wire these up in so many different configurations. You can really customize it. So in our case today, we're using one camera, and so my thought was, why not just have that camera on all the time, not just when you go in reverse? That way you can kind of use it as an observation camera too. Maybe, keep an eye on your trailer, or just have another view of what's going on behind you. If for whatever reason it gets annoying and you don't want to see it, you just turn it off. And that's really all there is to it. So I like that, how you can do that, and kind of get 2 for 1 there. Not just a backup camera, but your observation camera as well. And you can kind of grow into this too. So this actually has 4 channels. This kit comes with 1 camera, but if you ever wanted more cameras in the future, you could pick them up separately, mount them wherever you want. People do a lot of different stuff, and get the wire and come up and hook it up, and it'd give you another channel to view from. So, at least you have the room to grow into it if you want. If not, not really a big deal. So with this particular channel, you can make adjustments and stuff. So, you got your width. So if you can set it up to your trailer, or, whatever you like, honestly. And then you can do your, you can center it. So move it from side to side, closer to the truck, further away from the truck. And you can really just kind of fine-tune what you got going on there in terms of being able to have some assistance backing up to your trailer. So this is what the camera itself is going to look like. And you can mount these pretty much anywhere you want. It is going to come with a mounting bracket there. In our case, we already had, from an existing setup, a license plate mount that I just utilized. It doesn't come with that license plate mount. You might be able to grab them from somewhere. I'm not real sure, but either way, you get a bracket so you can mount it up, figure something out. Has a little sunshade on there too to help prevent glare and stuff like that. And the camera, it is going to work at nighttime too, so it's going to have, I guess night vision, essentially you could call it, and it'll pick up, in low light conditions as well. And honestly, something I thought was pretty cool that we just found out is that it's actually heated. So, up north or Midwest or whatever in the wintertime, you get some snow and ice and freezing rain and frost and everything in between. And once you turn on your truck, this will actually get heated and melt that away. So I thought that was pretty cool, because honestly, if it gets a bunch of frost and stuff on it, it's pretty much useless. And then what's the point of having it if you have to come back here and look and everything else? So, I think that's pretty neat. They thought that through, and definitely something that'll probably come in handy. So we kind of just wanted to test this thing out and see if it helps. I definitely like the angle it gives us, and so we're just going to kind of back up to a trailer and see. The way that we position the camera, we can see just the top of our trailer ball. And so I really think that's going to make it easy when we're backing up. We can almost watch the coupler come onto the ball. I go ahead and just kind of back up here. And this is my first time using this thing, so see how it does. The image is pretty clear, actually. So it seems like it's gonna work out pretty good, actually. I really like how you can see the top of the ball. The trailer looks like it is too low, so I'm not actually gonna hook up right now, but I mean, you get the idea. So essentially, we are right on top of it. So that trailer is just sitting up a little bit higher. We could go all the way under, but you know, you get the idea. You essentially watch it back right up to your coupler there and make it super easy, especially if you're by yourself. You know, it's a big game changer, save you a lot of time, parking the truck, getting out, moving it back, moving it around, and everything else. So it definitely makes life a little more simple. So at the end of the day, you know, if you're looking for a camera system to do something like this with, it seems like it works out pretty good, actually. You know, there's several camera systems on the market. There's some that are wired, like this one, and then there's some that are wireless. It might be tempting to go with the wireless just because you're thinking of installing it and everything would be easier, which is true. But it seems like in the past, we've kind of run into a few issues with communication errors and things like that. I just don't know if they've figured it out just yet. And, as far as the wireless ones go, and make them really reliable. Obviously, when everything's wired, I mean, unless you make a bad connection or something like that, it's always going to work, right? But because of that, the installation is a little more involved, but not really too bad. Essentially, it's just time consuming, you know, having to run wires and everything. But as long as you stay focused, really shouldn't give you a ton of issues. If you'd like to see how I did it, feel free to stick around. We'll go ahead and install it together now. To begin your installation, you're first going to want to figure out where you want to mount up your monitor. So it comes with a bunch of different brackets and mounting hardware and things of that nature. I think we're probably going to use this pedestal one. It has some sticky tape on the back of it. I'll just get it roughly in position. I'll let the owner of the vehicle make that final decision where they want to stick it, essentially, but you get the idea. I do know it's going to be in the corner over here somewhere. So what we can do is take the main harness. It's going to be about 4 or 5 foot long and have a bunch of connectors and stuff on one end of it, and then a connector like this on the other end. This one is going to plug into the cable coming right out of the back of the camera. And be careful when you're doing this. It's supposed to line up one way, so you don't want to damage the pins or anything. But you know, I got more than enough cable here. If they want to put it in the corner, they can tuck it away. If they want to put it up higher, they have the ability to do so. So we'll just kind of let this sit tight right here for now. And that cable, the end of it, we need to run under our dash. So if you take your weather stripping and just kind of peel that back, you're kind of able to jam that cable down along through here and around here where it comes out underneath the dash here. So here's where the bundle of wires come down, and since we're only using one camera on this system, it can take up to 4, but we only have one. We're only going to be using this green wire, the red power wire, this thin black wire. The rest of them are for other cameras if you were to use those trigger wires. Since we're not, I just taped them up. Same holds true with all these ends. So only using one, not these 3. The only one we're going to be using is the channel 2 wire right here. So first things first, what we're going to do, this red wire comes out to a bullet type connector there, and then it splits off and has another length of wire here. I just used a butt connector to connect the green wire to it, and that's because we're just going to keep the camera on all the time. So as soon as a keyed ignition, as soon as you key the truck on, the camera's going to come on. You could hook it up to, if you're doing more cameras, this could be a reverse light circuit. You could tap in your reverse light and hook it up that way. That way when you put it in reverse, that camera will come on. But figured since we only have one, why not have it on all the time, right? So you can see what's going on behind you all the time. So that's the logic behind it. And the black wire is going to be a ground, and I just ran it up, and there's a piece of steel right here. It's nice and thick. It's going to be a good ground. So I just took a self-tapping screw, ran it in, and that black wire has a pre-attached ring terminal on it. Put that ring terminal in, tighten the bolt down, and that's what provided us with the ground there. But with that said, this is going to need to go to a keyed ignition power source. So you want it to have power when the key's on, and you don't want it to have power when the key is off. And so we're going to have to run a wire over to the fuse box over on the passenger side of our truck. So what I did is I just took a piece of wire here. You know, if you don't have any scraps or whatever laying around at the house, you can always grab, I'd say you probably need, say 5 foot, probably just be on the safe side of wire, maybe 6, you know, you don't want to fall short. And then what I did is I stripped this wire back a little bit and crimped on a bullet type butt connector there. That way I could plug these two into each other and complete that connection. And then this wire I just have loosely ran for now over to the passenger side. So it kind of just runs across and goes behind our center console. So like I said, I just pushed that wire behind our center console and it just came out right on the other side, running over to our passenger side kick panel, where you can pop that cover off and expose your fuse block. So at the end of the red wire, I used what's called the fuse tap, which, you know, just butt connects right to the end of the wire. And then we found a fuse that doesn't have power when the engine's off and the key's off, but does have power when the key's in the on position, and that's fuse number 18. And so I pulled out that 10-amp fuse, put that fuse into the bottom slot of our fuse holder, popped in an additional 10-amp fuse in the top of the holder, and then placed it into the fuse block. And you want to orient or position it how I have it here with that wire facing up. That way the power that comes out of the fuse block actually goes through our fuses and then through the wire. That way it's actually protected. If you hooked it up the other way, it would just bypass the fuses. So once that's in, you can pop your cover back on and clean up your wiring. So now back underneath our driver's side dashboard, we can hook up our actual camera wire, I guess you could call it. So we have our channel 2, and then the big bundle of wire they give you, you're going to take one end of it and connect it. And again, these only thread in or plug in one way, so be careful of that. Push it together and tighten this little jam nut down. And then the other end of the bundle of wire, we're going to push up through a grommet that's underneath our dash that goes into the engine compartment. Going to be really difficult to see under here with just everything going on, but it's actually pretty easy to see in the engine compartment. So let's move out there and take a look. So here in the engine compartment, on the driver's side, there's a big rubber grommet, and that's what I use to run our wire through. You just poke a hole in it, push the wire through, and once that wire comes up, I just ran it kind of along our cowl here over to the passenger side of our vehicle. That's it right there, and it drops down. When you're doing this, make sure to use zip ties and try to avoid any hotter moving parts. But this is going to drop right down there to the bottom side of our truck. So now underneath the truck, here's where our wire comes out that we drop down. And I just ran this along our frame rail, and there's already some existing wiring here actually, so I just utilized their path, keep it all together. But ran it right up through there. It kind of goes over our shock mount, and then from there it kind of starts to go underneath or on the other side of our frame rail. So it's end up here in this area. You can see my hands, that's where the wire is. And it just essentially runs straight back right up into here. And this is all the extra wiring we had, quite a bit of it. So I just bundled it up and zip tied it up there out of the way. And the wire continues to run on essentially by our license plate. I know it's going to be kind of tricky to see. There's just so much going on here, but the wire runs out here, and then right up in that area, it's actually where I made the connection into our camera. Just like the other one, it just plugs in one way and screws in together. So you'll make that connection, and then this wire just goes right to where we have our camera mounted. So here at the back of our truck, that's where a wire comes into the camera. Now you need to, figure out where you want to mount your camera. In our case, he used to have an existing camera system, and so there was this license plate mount. So I just utilized that. Not sure if you can get these separately or what the deal is, but that's how I did it. They do give you just kind of a basic bracket so you could fashion something up one way or another. And also they give you this sun visor as well. So just gonna want to position this how you want it and tighten everything down. So now what we can do is test our camera system essentially. So when the key's off, you shouldn't have any power or anything like that, which we don't. But once we start it, our system will power up, and we can see that it's working. So looks like it's pretty good how it is. If you don't like how it's pointing, you can always come back and adjust it and position the camera differently to your particular to your particular style and how you want to be able to see what's going on back there. And that'll finish up our look at and our installation of the buyer's product backup camera system on our 2008 Ford F-150.